So good afternoon for the subject building materials and construction planning, unit number 5, principles of building planning, building bylaws, and classification of the building. So today's class we are going to be discussing about the revision of unit 5 comprises of principles of building planning, building bylaws, and classifications of the building. So first we'll start with the principles of the building planning that will be necessary to go for the building construction. Then we will go for the building bylaws. What are the setbacks, distances that we are going to be leaving in the front, rear, and sides. And for the for the growth of the construction has to be in the uniform. For that we are going to be following the building bylaws. And last one is the classification of the buildings. As per the National Building Code, how the buildings are going to be classified based on the utility. So the building planning, why the building planning will be required? What are the principles that we have to follow before you are going for the construction of a building? So first of all, we had to be choose that the construction is what is the type of the building. Either a building comes under the residential, commercial, industrial, or other purpose. Based on the requirement, the principles is going to be follow, and the principles has to be make sure that so your rooms will be put in a proper orientation and proper ventilation, proper light has to become. For that, we had to be follow that the principles, various principles we had to be follow, such that whoever will be the occupants, that they are going to be staying for long hours without any difficulty. That is the main objective of going for the building planning. So the planning is going to be necessary for each and every aspect, not only for the building, for each and every aspect, the planning will be important objective such that we can able to complete the task in a given period of time and with the 100% efficiency. For that, the planning, in general planning we are going to be doing such that we can able to reach the task and complete the task in 100% efficiency with 100% satisfaction. So now we will see that the building planning will be is the building plan is the arrangement of various planning various components or unit of a building in a systematic manner so as to form a meaningful and homogeneous structure to meet the functional purpose. Here so the building planning, two terms are there. You planning of a building, depending upon that how we are going to be arrange the various units of the rooms such that your building is going to be completed and you can able to get the proper ventilation. So that is the main objective we are going to be seeing in the building planning. Next is what are the factors that will be affecting the planning of a building. So one is the function of a building. Function already we described that it is the what is the purpose that is going to be served. What is the purpose we are going to be giving that the utility is residential, public, commercial, and industrial. Based on that one, your functions is going to be vary. For residential functions is going to be different. Public buildings different functions will be different. Commercial functions will be different, and industrial. Shape and size of the plot, that is also playing a vital role in the planning of a building. Topography means it is going to be called as what area is. The area is going to become under the plain terrain or it is going to be called a hilly terrain is going to be called as a topography. Climatic conditions, that is the weather conditions. Last one is the building bylaws. These are the factors that is going to be affecting the planning of a building such that we have to be make sure that so we had to be describing that function of a building, shape and size of the plot, topography and climatic conditions. Then the orientation. Orientation is going to be called as we are going to be we are going to be providing the rooms in such a way that you can able to get the proper ventilation. That is we are going to call as orientation. Orientation means placing so as to means the placing so as to face east or placing of the rooms. Proper placement of component of a building with respect to the sun, wind, and rain, which enables the inmates to enjoy the desirable feature of nature. That we are going to be called as orientation. Then what are the principles, general principles that we have to be follow while you are going for planning of a building? That is going to be called as principles of building planning. So there are the various principles are there in this. So these 10 principles are we are going to be following such that we can able to complete the building in a proper way and 100% satisfaction for the tenants. First is the aspect, second is the prospect, third one is privacy, fourth one is circulation, sixth one is roominess, seventh one is grouping, sixth one is the grouping, seventh one is allegation, Eighth one is sanitation. Ninth one is flexibility. 10th one is economy. Last is going to be called as what are the practical considerations, or what are the practical difficulties that we are going to be facing while we are going for the planning of a building. So now we will discuss one by one. So what is meant by the aspect, prospect, privacy, circulation, roominess, grouping, elegance, sanitation, flexibility, economy. So first one is going to be called as aspect. Aspect is going to be called as we are going to be allocating the rooms or planning the rooms in such a way that in which corner the rooms will be there, such that we can able to get good ventilation, good wind, and good light, good sunlight we are going to be getting. There is no foul gases is going to be developed inside the room, so that we are going to be called as aspect. So the placement of different rooms in our house in accordance with our activities at different hours of the day, in the morning, in the afternoon, and in the evening. So how, so that is going to be sunlight as well as the wind is going to be prevailing inside the room, and how we can able to get the proper direction of the sunlight, proper ventilation, and proper light. So rooms should get enough sunlight and air, which gives great environment comfort. That is the main thing we are going to be achieving. And a room which receives light and air from particular direction is said to have aspect of that direction. That is, light and air from particular direction is said to have aspect of that direction. So that is, in general, we can say that the aspect is that kitchen room will be in which direction has to be there, hall or the dining in which direction has to be there, bedroom is which direction has to be there, and then the toilets and the water closets in which direction has to be there, storeroom will be in which direction will be there. So that is we are going to call as aspect. So the general aspect is that living room and drawing room always southeast. Preferable direction is that southeast, bedroom northwest, dining room southeast, and kitchen always northeast, and veranda southwest, and study room in north direction. So you can able to see that this the diagram is going to explaining you that how the sun and how the wind that is going to be giving you as proper ventilation and proper sunlight for the building in from morning to evening or morning to night, from the morning to evening, evening to night, how we are able to get it proper light and proper ventilation, that is going to be describing by your aspect page. Then the prospect is always is going to be called as the beauty of the building. From we are going to be looking from the outside of a house. So prospect is the view from outside of a house, how it will be look like a building. Then the what is the prosperity will be there, that is going to be called as a prospect. The house should have a proper prospect so that it can give you a feeling of cheerfulness to the people living in it. It should create a good impression on a person who views it from outside. So good impression has to be get from means good elevation. If you are going to be getting a good elevation, automatically it is going to be good impression. Whoever may be looking from outside and from the outside view. So that is going to be called as a prospect. Means here we are going to be giving that architectural importance such that we can able to get the proper elevation, and that is going to be depending upon proper planning of the rooms. Based on that one we can able to get the good, so output is going to be getting the good elevation. So that is, for example, small projections or bay window can have a good outlook as well as the helps in provides breeze, light, and sunlight to that room. That is another prospect. So prospect is going to be describing you about that the beautiness of a building, or the good elevation of a building, or good architectural view of a building is going to be called as a prospect. So now we can able to see that from the picture, we can able to see that how the architecture, how elevation is going to be there for a building. Then the privacy. So privacy is the movement of the people from one room to the other room, and we cannot have any disturbances from other rooms while you are going for a particular work. So that the privacy is an important principle while planning residential building is external privacy and internal privacy. External privacy is always is going to be describing of so the compound wall and gates. No one is going to be entering into that the building. So that is going to be that is going to be provide security by compound wall as well as by the gates is going to be called external privacy. Internal privacy is that we are able to provide the doors, and we are able to provide the doors, or so the you are going to provide the doors. So there are the screens that we are going to provide in such a way that internal privacy is going to be maintaining. So external privacy, the privacy from sites can be secured by providing planned entrance and pathways. This can be achieved by screening the front and rear entrances itself. Then internal privacy. So internal privacy is we can able to see that the screens or the doors we are going to be provided in such a way that no one is going to be disturbed. In kitchen, the cooking is going on, it is not going to be disturbed. And similarly, for the bedroom, the people are taking the rest. No one is going to be disturbing the resting people. So that is the privacy we are going to provide called as internal privacy. The privacy in internal rooms can be easily obtained by proper planning of different areas and location of doors and windows. Doors and windows are we are going to be called as internal privacy. The shutter, when opened, should give the minimum view of room for entering persons. The shutter is going to be provided so that we can able to view that who is going to be there in the inside. So that is we are going to be called as internal privacy. Then the next one is going to be the important principle that we are going to follow is going to be called as circulation. So circulation is that we are having, so from the access of the people from one level to the other level, or from one room to the other room. One is in vertical, other one is going to be called the horizontal. Horizontal circulation and vertical circulation. The circulation is going to be classified into horizontal circulation and vertical circulation. Horizontal circulation is going to be providing you as the accessibility of the people from one room to the other room. That is the passage, corridors, and lobbies are the areas we are going to provide the horizontal circulation. Vertical circulation is from floor to floor. That is going to be called as staircases. Through the stairs, staircases through the stairs we are going to provide is going to be called as vertical circulation. Then the roominess. Roominess is going to be called as size of the room. Size of the room such that we can able to go for any improvement, or we want to go for large rooms, we can able to go for more number of partitions. That is we are going to be called as dimensions of the room, length and width, such that we can able to, in emergency cases, we can made it to the multiple sizes. If it is going to be provided a small size room, then it is very difficult to go for the partitions in case of we are going for extension. For that, the roominess is going to give you that. The flexibility has to be give that to go for the extension or in any time. So roominess means getting maximum advantage from minimum dimension of the room. Maximum advantage from minimum dimension of the room. The effect of roominess depends on the relative dimensions of the length, width, and height. The shape and size of the room are also very important for roominess. Shape and size. A rectangular room has more roominess than square room in same area. That's why preferably we have to go for almost, we are going planning in such a way that we can able to get the rectangular shape of the room, preferable than the square room. That is we are going to call as roominess. Then the grouping. Grouping, the term itself is going to be giving you meaning that which rooms has to be nearer such that we can able to avoid the crisscrossing, such that we can able to, movement of the people has to be reduces. That is known as the grouping. So for example, is your dining room will be very nearer to the kitchen, then we can able to serve the food very easily. So there is no movement will be there. Similarly, your bedroom is going to be attached with the toilets. So there is advantage will be there. There is no crisscrossing will be there. That is known as the grouping. And we are going to be giving comfort to comfort to the people who are going to be staying in the rooms. Grouping means the arrangement of various rooms in the building for the convenience of the user. It minimizes the circulation and at the same time improves the comfort. That is the circulation we are going to be avoided in such a way that we are going to be arranging the rooms. That is known as the grouping. A dining room should be close to the kitchen. Already I explained you that a dining room will be close to the kitchen, then the circulation will be avoided. While sanitary be away from the kitchen, but convenient to the bedroom. So sanitary will be very nearer to the bedroom. Attached toilets will be there for the bedroom, such that we can be able to avoid the circulation. Then the elegance. Elegance is going to be called also is similar to that as well as the prospect. How the architectural beauty of the building we can able to achieve it is going to be called as elegance. The term itself giving you as meaning. Elegance is the grand appearance of a building attained mainly owing to the elevation, which in turn depends on the plan. How we are doing the planning based on that one, we can able to get the output is going to be called as elevation. So elevation, it depends upon the proper position and selection of doors, windows, balcony, roofs, and staircases. So that is we are going to be called as elegance. So selecting superior building material for facing as polished strong granite and marble or mosaic floors, providing projection like sunshades, balconies, porches with or without openings, pergola openings, providing bay window and corner window. These are all is going to be giving you reflecting onto that the elegance. the beauty of a building, beauty of the building, and you can able to get that the better elevated building or better elevation building. Then sanitation. Sanitation is going to be called as we are going to provide the cleanliness, hygienic conditions. We are going to be imparted to the building such that there is no foul gases or there is no suffocation will be there inside the building is known as the sanitation. So proper water supply and sewage treatment and sewage treatment units we are going to be provided. It includes providing light, ventilation, cleanliness, and water supply and sanitary amenities we are going to provide inside the building is going to be called as a sanitation. For residential building, window area should not be less than 1/10 of the floor area. Similarly, in school, 1/4 of the floor area. Flexibility. Here, the term itself giving you as meaning flexible means we can able to they provide extra rooms in case of an emergency within the same planned area. So that is what we call flexibility. Means we can able to take that the store room is an extra room that will be converted into that the guest room. That is one of the flexibility. If the more number of guests come to the comes to the home, then we are going to be changing the your storeroom to the guest room. Flexibility means that a room which is planned for one function, so we plan for a functional storeroom, then we may be converted into that the guest room and be used for other if required. So like study room may be planned for using guest room, etc. These are the examples that we are going to call as flexibility. Actually we planned in the beginning for one purpose or one function, then in case of an emergency we may are going to be converted into that the other purpose or other function in a easy manner. That we are going to call as a flexibility. Economy always that is depending upon how we are going to be planned. So the economy includes what are the materials we are going to be using, what type of construction we are going to be planned. Based on that one we are able to get is known as the economy. Means size of the room, size of the area, size of the plot, all it is going to be reflecting onto that the economical construction. So the building should have minimum floor area with a maximum utility. Floor area will be minimum and maximum utility we are going to provide that is going to come under the economical. It will reduce the cost of the building and it will be economical. In case of material, in case of the rooms, in case of the area, all we have to be find in a proper direction. We are planning in a proper direction such that final output we are able to get it is a good building with a minimum cost with a superior quality of the materials. So that is what we call as economical. Practical considerations. After the all fundamentals, some practical points should be additionally considered. Of all 10 principles, whatever we discussed, more than that one, if some of the cases we have to be implement some principles in addition to the 10 one. So provision for future extensions without dismantling should be made while planning. That is also one of the important factor to be considered. Future extensions are there without dismantling should be made with the planning. Strength, stability, convenience, and comfort occupants should be the first consideration while planning. As far as possible, sizes of the room should be kept large. Always we have to be large rooms we are going to be designed at the plan. Then we can able to make the partitions such that we can able to go for multiple rooms. Large room can be shortened by providing mobile partition, but smaller room cannot be enlarged easily. So the and number of door and windows should be minimum for built-in furniture at proper places and are useful from point of view of utility. So these are some of the practical points in addition to that the principles of building planning we had to be followed. Then the next component part, after understanding that the principles of building planning, so next component part is going to be called as building bylaws. What is building bylaws? In what way it will be what way it will be connected to that the principles of building planning or the building planning. So because building planning means where here the building bylaws is going to be giving you that what are the open spaces that we are going to be leaving at the front, rear, and the sides, such that we can able to get that the sunlight, ventilation, and if you want to go for future any extensions also is going to be easy. So that is we are going to be called as building bylaws. This is from the town planning or the city planning or village jurisdiction. Based upon that where the building is going to be constructed, if it is the building is going to be constructed in the village, we can able to get from the municipalities, cities we are going to be getting that the town or city, say city we are able to get the rules and regulations by the building bylaws. So the open spaces that we are going to be leaving for the construction of a building is kind of a building bylaws. What is building bylaws? The rules and regulations framed by town planning authorities, covering the requirements of the building, ensuring the safety of the public through open spaces, minimum size of the rooms, and height and area limitation are known as building bylaws. So we are seeing that the requirements of a building ensure safety through the open spaces. Rules and regulations which largely regulate the building activity should be formulated to get disciplined growth of the building and the better plan and development of towns and cities. If you are going to be following the building bylaws, output is we are able to get it is the better plan and development. So growth of the building, disciplined growth, we are able to achieve it, and better planning of the development, we are able to get it. So that is, we are going to following the building bylaws. Objective of the building bylaws, why the building bylaws is required. So that is the pre-planning of the building activity, allow orderly growth and prevent haphazard development. Main thing is we can, so they prevent the haphazard development, orderly growth. Provisions of bylaws usually afford safety against fire, noise, health hazard, and structural failure. This is also we can able to relieve it from that one. So the safety against fire, noise, and health hazards. Providing proper utilization of space to achieve maximum efficiency in planning. They provide health, safety, and comfort of the people who live in the building. That is the main thing. So the hygienic conditions we can able to get it by using the building bylaws. We are going to be following the building bylaws. Due to these bylaws, each building will have proper approaches, light, air, and ventilation. Finally, we are going to be achieving that the good light, air, and ventilation. Scope of building bylaws, where this building bylaws is going to be implemented. Building frontage line, minimum plot size, built up area of the building, height of the building, provision of safety, water supply, drainage, proper light and ventilation, requirement of off-street parking space, size of structural element. In these all we are going to be so following that the building bylaws. How much from the major road or the minor road, the building has to be start. What is the size of the building? What is the built-up area of the building? What is the height of the building? So these are all and provisions for the water supply and drainage purposes, and the parking spaces we are going to be leaving for a building. Applicability of the building bylaws. So if you are going for a new construction, always we have to follow the building bylaws. Additional and alterations to a building, we want to go for the you want to go for the you want to go for the planning of a extension as well as the alterations that we are going to be doing. If then the building bylaws has to be followed. Change of occupancy of a building, so that is the residential to the education, or education to the commercial, or residential to the commercial, like that, from one function to the other function. So the that is the occupancy of a building is going to be changed. What is the objective of the building in the beginning, and then we want to change it to the other objective, such that education building or residential building we are going to be converted into the commercial building. Obviously, the functions is going to be vary, and also the principles also is going to be vary. So development of land is undertaking developmental areas, and in demolition also we have to be following the building bylaws. And different types of the areas that we are going to be used in the building bylaws. A built-up area, plinth area, floor area, carpet area, and super built-up area. So the built-up area, what is meant by the built-up area? What is meant by the plinth area? What is meant by floor area, carpet area, and super built-up area? So built-up area is the total area of the construction. So the area covered by the building immediately above the plinth level, and it is also has a covered area. So total covered area of a building we are going to call as the built-up area. Coming under this basement, building structure, ramp, swimming pool, reservoir, chimney, and water purification plant. All these are going to be included in the built-up area. Plinth area. So means the built-up covered area measured at the floor level. At the floor level, we are going to be measured built-up or the covered area, that is going to be called as plinth area. So plinth area will become the area of walls at floor level, excluding plinth offset, external area of the projecting cladding, cover of stair, and machine rooms and porch without cantilever. These are all comes under the plinth area. So then carpet area. So here the term itself is going to be giving as many carpet. Where just you are going to spreading the carpet. What is the area occupied by the carpet, that we are going to call as carpet area. Means only open areas. It is going to be not including that the walls or any projections. It is net usable area where within the building. Usable area within the building all we are going to be called as carpet area. means the net area within a unit of a building excluding walls or columns, service areas such as washrooms, kitchen and pantry, semi-open spaces such as veranda or balcony, and corridors or passages that is not going to be covered into the carpet area only. So that is the net area for the be you using for the purpose, that is going net usable area for the functioning, we are going to call as carpet area. Floor area, it is usable area on each floor. Floor area is usable on each floor, it including porches, each flat area in single floor apartment, stairs, corridors and door swing place, all comes under the floor area. Then the last topic in the unit 5 is that types of the building or classifications of the building based on the occupancy. Based on occupancy, is going to be given by the National Building Code. NBC is Group A residential building, educational building, Group C institutional building, Group D assembly building, Group E business building, Group F mercantile building, Group G industrial building, Group H storage building, Group I is going to be hazardous building. So residential building, Group A is residential building. It is going to be covering with these are the buildings in which sleeping accommodation is provided for normal residential purposes with or without cooking or dining, or both facilities we are going to be achieving is going to be called as the residential building. So that is A1, that is the group A under lodging or rooming houses, one or two family private dwellings, dormitories, all this is going to be coming under the residential building. Apartment houses and hotels providing sleeping facilities with or without dining for more than 15%. It is generally used for commercial purpose. So for that also come under that the group A is residential building. Group B is educational building. Here completely educational purpose more than 8 hours per week. So that we are going to call it educational building. That is the schools and colleges comes under that educational buildings. More than 8 hours per week. That is the objective we are going to be achieving by the educational building. Then the institutional building. Group C is going to be called the institutional building. In this type of building covers the medical for treatment purposes to serve the people. Medical treatment we are going to be provided. This type of building provides sleeping accommodation in different types, lodging and private single rooms. So that is the hospitals and sanitarias, custodial institutions. So that is old age rooms, old age houses. So the kind of like restrooms for old age people. Proper care will be taken by nurses regarding their illness. These are like nursing homes. There's the custodial institutions, penal institutions. So this is going to comes under the Indian Penal Code. There is the jails and mental hospitals under this type of institutions. This type of institution covers mainly those who are violate the rules of Indian against the Indian Penal Code. It covers those who are mentally abnormal. Jails, example, communal jails, mental hospitals under this type of institutions is called institutional buildings. Assembly building, the term itself is going to be giving as meaning assemble the people, group of the people for various activities. So that is where the group of people assemble for gather for entertainment. Purpose is that the entertainment, social purpose, traveling purpose, religious or praying purpose, and similar purpose comes under the assembly buildings. Examples is restaurants, theaters, bus stands, railway stations, temples, conference halls, theaters, auditoriums, exhibition halls, dance halls, libraries, museums, etc. These are all come under the assembly buildings. Here, objective is for the group of people assemble for entertainment, social purpose, or traveling purpose, or religious purpose. Then the business buildings. So the building are used for account transactions, keeping books, and record people. Objective we are going to following here. The survey is going to be called as these buildings are used for account transactions and keeping books and records. That is the banks, post offices, court, and library are the examples of business building. Business is going to be carried out in the banks, account transactions, post office account transactions, court. So the penal actions are taking library books for the reading purposes. The transaction is taking place. It comes under the business building. Then group F is mercantile building. It's the business activities. These buildings are used to purchasing purpose of any consuming goods. So examples are stores, markets, supermarkets, general stores, shopping malls, medical stores, etc. comes under the mercantile building. Here purchasing of consumables, purchasing consumables for the purpose, general purposes itself. So then the industrial building, the buildings used for producing industrial goods or products are referred as industrial building. Those are factories and workshops. Factories and workshops is going to become under industrial purposes or activities is going to be taking place. Industrial goods manufacturing and products are going to be preparing, producing the industrial goods and products, and we are going to be transporting. That is we are going to call it industrial buildings. Examples are factories and workshops. Storage buildings, we are going to be the buildings used for the storage for various products are referred as storage buildings, such as cold storages and godowns. That we are going to be called as storage buildings. In that, so the different items that we are going to be storing purposes for long duration, and wherever the necessary comes, then we are going to be using. That is main thing. The godowns we are going for the rice, and the cold storages, the various goods that we are going to be stored for the 24 hours. So then hazardous buildings. The buildings used for purpose of storage and handling of highly combustible materials are referred as hazardous buildings, such as building used for storage of sulfur dioxide, ammonia, carbon dioxide. Means here we are going to mainly thing is combustible materials. Storing is going to be called as hazardous building. The term itself is going to be giving as meaning is going to be hazardous means hazard. So the explosive materials or combustible materials were going to be stored. So that is away from the residential areas. That comes as the hazardous buildings.